Ah, Serbia. Serbia is famous for many things. Great beer, funny memes, and a questionable attitude towards war crimes. You know what else Serbia is famous for? Having a huge river running through the country. But wait, why is this important? Well, long story short, I was given a task by my teacher to read through a science article about a study that concerned untreated wastewater that gets discarded in the Danube River in Serbia. So instead of giving my usual performance of showing epic PowerPoints, I decided to make a short YouTube video about it, breaking down the article piece by piece so that even a kindergarten kid can understand it. So, first we need a little background around the study. Some scientists in Serbia were like, hey, maybe we should do an EDA analysis of the wastewater here in the Danube River and see if the wastewater may degrade the water quality and cause adverse effects to aquatic ecosystems and the human health. The other scientists were like, yeah, sure, not a bad idea. So they had two objectives in focus when doing the analysis. A, to see if there were any major chemicals that can cause biological harm in the environment, and B, to perform an EDA. What is that? Well, EDA stands for Effect Directed Analysis and is a specialized approach often used in environmental analysis and toxicology. It combines chemical analysis with bioassays to identify which specific compounds in a complex environmental sample, like water, are causing harmful biological effects. And one of these compound groups that they decided to focus on are EDCs. And what are EDCs? Well, they are endocrine disruptors. EDCs are in short substances that interfere with the endocrine system, the system of glands and hormones that regulate things like growth, reproduction, metabolism, and even your mood. These disruptors can mimic, block, or alter natural hormones in the body, causing harmful effects, especially during sensitive stages like fetal development, puberty, or pregnancy. Yeah, pretty nasty stuff. So, next time, don't flush down your pee pills in the toilet, please. So, now that you have the background, let's head over to the sampling. The sample was taken in November 2014, approximately 238 meters downstream of an untreated municipal wastewater outlet from Novi Sad, Serbia, into the river Danube. Approximately 850 liters of water, holy crap, that's a lot, was extracted on site by a large volume solid phase extraction on chromabond HRX. These names are complicated. Well, basically it is a hydrophobic polystyrene divinyl benzene copolymer. The loaded HRX was freeze-dried and extracted with ethyl acetate and methanol. The extract was then concentrated and recovered into 850 milliliter of final volume in methanol, with a concentration factor of 1000. God damn. Now that they had their sample, they could start pre-treat the sample. Well, they wanted to do a fractionation of the sample. Why is this good? Well, fractionation refers to the process of collecting different components, or fractions, of a mixture as they elute from the HPLC column at different times. This means that the scientists could isolate and analyze each fraction further. They managed to do this with a reverse phase HPLC with a sample of 20 liter water equivalent in 2 milliliter of methanol and water. 30 fractions of 2-minute intervals were collected. Fractionation blanks were also obtained and processed prior to the sample fractionation. And lastly, after fractionation was complete, they had to continue to concentrate the sample due to the high water content with solid phase extraction. Now, the scientists split the analysis into two parts, biological and chemical. For the biological analysis, a couple of reporter gene assays were used to test for agonistic and antagonistic hormonal activities. These three were the estrogen receptor alpha gene assay, androgen receptor gene assay, and the last assay was for oxidative stress response. But as many environmental samples did not produce full concentration effect curves, or that the effects were masked by cytotoxicity, it was not possible to report the result as EC50 values. So, for consistency, EC10 was chosen for agonism, ECSR 0.2 for antagonism, and ECIR 1.5 for the oxidative stress response. The evaluation of concentration effect curves was done by using Microsoft Excel and GraphPad Prism. We will come back to talking about the results of the bioassays later on. However, I want to cover the chemical analysis now. The chemical analysis was done via targeted analysis of the estrogen receptor alpha active and neighboring fractions for known, natural and synthetic estrogen compounds by using LC high-resolution mass spectrometry. For data evaluation, the software TraceFinder 3.2 was used, employing internal calibration with the isotope labeled compound with the closest retention time for each analyte. I'm not gonna go into further details about which settings the scientists used and so, because then the video will be much longer. And we're here to have fun and have a learning experience. So let's continue. We now have some results. Yay! And we will begin with the ER biological assay, and the analysis showed that the parent sample and 5 fractions exhibit agonistic responses, while none of them showed any antagonistic effects. F8 and F15 were most responsive, giving full sigmoidal dose response curves. I wish I could paste some curves in here, however the article didn't provide any curves, so you just have to believe me and study. And yeah, we found a bunch of synthetic female reproductive hormones such as E1 and E2, and different kinds of plant isoflavonoids such as dadecine and genistein in different concentrations. However, the most important thing here to note is the parent sample. The parent sample is like the whole unfractionated sample, like you didn't fractionate it, basically. So this little bar here exceeded the limit of 1 nanogram E2 per liter, which means that the Danube River water quality is considered not to be safe for aquatic organisms in the vicinity of the wastewater discharge. The AR parent sample showed both agonistic and antagonistic responses, while fractions 16, 18 and 19 triggered only agonistic responses. The target screening for the AR active chemicals detected testosterone, DHT, medroxyprogesterone and many more in different concentrations. In this study, the natural hormones testosterone and DHT were found to dominate most of the androgenic effect, and exposure to DHT may affect levels of estrogenic hormones, vitellogenesis, along with many other potential adverse effects on the fish reproductive system. Lastly, the oxidative stress response showed very little activity. It appears that the remaining unexplained oxidative stress response had been distributed over many or all of the 30 fractions, and could not be detected by the REEC32 bioassay. These findings confirm an earlier mixture modeling study that oxidative stress might not be the result of a single chemical effect, but the effect of many chemicals in the mixture. So, what is the conclusion? The results of the environmental samples by the biological analysis are in a good agreement with the results obtained by the chemical analysis. Confirmation of the detected compounds responsible for the effects explains very well not only the estrogenicity, but also the much less investigated androgenicity. The estrogenicity of the parent sample exceeds the proposed effect-based trigger value, although this concentration is diluted further downstream. But results suggest that adequate water quality could be reached by the implementation of a wastewater treatment plant. In this study, natural hormones explained all effect given that agonist and antagonist might be present together and influence each other's effects or even partially cancel them out. The EDA assured better qualitative results by fractionation after removal of masking effects or cytotoxicity. The combination of in vitro biases with chemical target analysis for a broad range of steroids, blah, can't talk today, provided a quantitative assignment of measurable effects to causes.